Erik The Wrench here, up on the roof. So you can see, we're doing a shingle over here. These shingles are about 25 years old. It's about the max warranty you'll get. So there's only one layer of shingles. Most towns will allow two. Okay? So, if this was a tear off, we would use our rake, our pitchfork, and we would scrape up all them shingles from this way up, and you tear them off. Real simple, okay? You'd lay down some felt paper or the new synthetic stuff. Now guys, that doesn't help you with leaks, and it's not what it's for. It's so the asphalt shingles do not stick to the roof surface and rip themselves apart when they expand and contract and all that stuff, okay guys? So, if this roof was already leaking and damaged, if you were missing shingles and stuff, you would want to put down a layer of that as well. We don't need it because we're still good. So basically, we'll be protecting the old roof and having twice the roof. We'll be groovy for a long time. One other thing, in this town and a lot of areas where there's heavy frosts and that, they require 24 inches from the edge to in, not the slope, but you know, straight line of the self-sticking membrane. Okay, it's a moisture barrier. It's expensive. Okay, just to do this roof here, look, we're about 550 inches across this way, 12 feet down. Okay, so it's like 12 by 32 feet or something, 38 feet, 35 feet, something like that. It's about 35 across by 12. Real simple. Problem is over here, the tricky part. These valleys. Now if this was a tear off, underneath here is a pan, tin, all the way up. So we don't have any nails here to here because we don't want any nails in there. So this is actually glued, extra glued in the edge. Now I'm going to show you how to lay the shingles, but real quick because it's hot. I don't want to melt my camera up here. I've already started here. What we do, starting at the bottom, of course we take our edging, slice it in half so we have half sheets. We staple them around the edge. Quick look in the future. You got that little half kick out shingle there just so the ends aren't folded downward. Boom. Okay, we're back. Now what we do is we come here, since this is the way it flows down, you can see we come here, starting up, working our way from the bottom to the top, and you can see we come up the edge here, making sure there's no seams in the valley pan I just showed you. And then once we're to the top, we come from the other side and we weave these over so that they overlap once again, no seams. And when it's done, we will come from the corner to the top corner, snap a chalk line and slice it just like that and run a bead of caulk under there. Things like these flashings here, you're going to want to pull that up because you're going to want the layer of shingles under here. Same thing with here for our vents. They make these silly little rubber ones nowadays. They say they last as long as the roof. I don't care. These old lead ones last forever. We'll reuse these. You can see they'll slide up and we can put the shingles underneath. This 70-year-old fan, we're obviously going to want to check that before we put it back together, but that's another video. We got a compressor up here, anchored, it can't fall down, or 100 psi. Okay, you could see here, we're using these architectural shingles. They sure do look pretty when they're done. But I tell you what, I screwed up. I should have charged more. Because while these multicolored ones here, not only would I charge more for architectural shingles because they're heavier, harder to work with, but these ones here, see the multicolored, see how nice that looks? Well, the way they come out the box, like this, there is no pattern whatsoever at all. It is pure chaos the way they're stacked in the box, and these are the good shingles. Pure chaos. Good luck finding the colors that line up. I think they gave them to you expecting you to put them together willy-nilly like it doesn't matter. But you could see, look, it's same color. Same color. Now you can see this up here, that same, but you can't see it from down there. So see how I had to line these all up with the same colors? That was a pain. Spread out 3-4 boxes, bundles, open at a time, spread across the roof trying to find these that match. I gotta tell you what, stay away from these or just know you're gonna spend an extra day or two fiddling with them. Now so far, just to do this and go to the store, whatever, that's 2 days worth of work. Okay, about 2-3 grand. You could get away cheaper if you bought these tiles, are a lot cheaper, but let's not screw around, right? So you could see, and another grand if you need the sheeting, staples, drip edge, you know what I mean? And we're obviously going to reflash this with a step flashing. I'll show you in a second. Alright, you can see here, this is a great gun so far. The only issue I'm having is, see this little scraping here? It's only after a little bit of use from it barely sliding around. It's going to wear through. Now they're all plastic, so I don't know what to say about that. Nothing about this. It's actually a great gun. I love it. I paid for it, no sponsors, but for now I'm going to cover it with a little piece of tape just so it doesn't get ruined. I'll write them shortly. I haven't had the time because obviously I'm in the middle of something. Now, your different manufacturers will have different instructions. Make sure you read whatever's on the package. While they may be similar products with different instructions, there might be a better way, okay? But the fact of the matter is you're going to avoid the warranty if you don't do it their way, okay? Now, our gun here, oiled up, locked and loaded, we're ready to go. Okay, now we got a couple things going on here. When it's hot out, it's easier to work with because they flex and lay flat into place, and the nails go through them like butter. But you really don't want to stand on them when they're hot. Okay, so you're working upside down, hunched over, kind of depends. Now, not necessary, but I'm going crazy caulking all these seams and everything because I usually do too good of a job. Look at the camera's already overheating. Alright, I caulk all the nail heads and the seams, just in the ones in the valley. Not up the center because we're going to want to peel it up and cut it and caulk again. Well, what we'll do here is, for demonstration purposes, I'll come down here. We would have wanted to snap a chalk line, okay, according to the specific tile's instructions, but once again, we have the old tiles to go by, so we're going to use them as a guide. Here's our line. Look at, here's our line. See? Works out nice. Now, before the camera totally melts, we get our overhang here. See, this corner's in the middle, so we're good. They say to trim that like this. So just nub that off. And you can see we're lined up. See what I mean about these colors here? See how we got two? Now this here gets sticky in the sun, sticks, holds the ends down. That's why we don't really need the caulk. It's just extra. I like to do it on the bottom layer and around the edges, just so the wind can't blow them up. You know, an extra 20, 40 bucks in caulk might be totally overkill. May save you some headaches. So you could see we're lined up. We're good. We're straight across. Our lines are even. We're on our chalk line or our other line. Can you see what I'm doing here? So we'll come up. We're lined up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Boom. 4 nails. Now we line up here. We're still lined up. We're flexed in place and okay. That's all there is to it. That line running up the ridge, we don't really need them in here. That's just in the ridge. Like I said, I went crazy with the caulk. Don't really have to. And we'll just continue that row all the way to the edge. And we'll snip the end flush with the rest of them. Okay? Now, if you didn't have the valleys, it's easier to just start on the end. Okay? 1 row. Next row cut off 5 inches. Next row cut off 10. Next row flush again. That way you know none of your seams here are going to be overlapping. See how they're 5 inches apart? Okay, we don't want them all lined up. You know what I mean? So there you go. When the valleys, it's kind of good to start from the valley. That way you know where they are. And if you're going to have a small piece on the end, the edge, you don't want that. So make sure you cut the smaller one in the middle if you're too close to the end. Pretty simple. I'll show you the flashing, the next step. Camera's already overheating up here. Make sure you got sunscreen, plenty of water. See, I marked that. Yes, Lefty. You get the point, though. Now let's install new flashing. The amount of caulk. Okay. Okay, just like the shingles, we step the flashing so that it flows over the tops of each one, covering nails. Trim that end. We'll leave this overhang. We use a ridiculous amount of caulk to the point we probably don't even need flashing, but we like to waste. We'll take this little piece, snipped like this, and okay, now we could right on the edge. Okay, The next layer we'll bop over that. We'll put in a straight angle across here, leaving the edge flap over the outside so that it goes on the top of the shingles and not underneath. That's the whole point of it. Okay, so we're over, this over, and we got the shingle over. Now this flashing is over the top of this shingle. Okay, then we'll put on this shingle, right like that. Okay, the next flashing will step over it, get it. So it'll be over just like the shingles. Okay, let's nail that down, and there we go. Okay guys, we'll do a better job smoothing that out. I'll show you all in a second what you could see. Okay, see the last guy's step flashing? See how it's all popping up? I mean, maybe we're not wasting the caulk. You see my point? And as you could see here, the straight sides, real easy. We stage them. There's the hip or kick out or whatever they call it, and the bottom underneath, caulked. Lots of caulk, nail heads caulked in the first couple, 3 rows. You can see we have a full one, then we trim 5 inches, 10 inches, full one, 5, 10, full. You can see here, this is 5 inches, this is 10 inches. You can line them up in here, trim them, you know, real quick. Use a square. All right, as you can see here, just about done. Here's our cap. I thought I could cheat it a little bit because unfortunately I'm having to put this extra row of shingles in to make up for an inch. Because these are perforated. You could see that they split down the little perforated lines there. See, I was cutting past, trying to cheat it a little bit, and you could see it from the street, so I popped them up, and we're going to put that extra last row on and nail the cap over, as you could see. You know, a couple nails, some extra cement there, and keep going all the way down to the edge. You could see I snapped that line and trimmed it up with the blade. It's pretty good. And you could see the flashing there. Could use a little more tar. And I'll put the decorative copper over that. Okay, when we're done. Because we did such a nice job here. Why screw around? Some extras because it's at the end. While I am caulking all the caps, I'm getting a little crazy on the end one because it's the most critical. Alright, you can see we'll have to come in, trim that edge a little smoother. It is what it is. You know, sometimes it gets a little off center because that's just the way the shingles line up. We're not running a whole nother row of shingles for a silly little 1/4 of an inch. You can see here, I'm tired, I'm sore freaking bun. And this would slip out if you pop out that nail, okay? And the two that are right there. And it would slip right out. Never again. 160-pound dude hauling up 120-pound boxes of architectural shingles.